And we're up to chapter 17, Swings and Floods. Well, hello and welcome back to Riverwood Cabin. I'm Rosie Boom and I'm reading to you from Where Lions Roar at Night, the fun and adventures of a pioneering New Zealand family. And we're up to chapter 17, Swings and Floods. When Millie woke up the next morning and looked out the window, she couldn't believe her eyes. Black Rabbit Island was an island once more. She ran downstairs to find Dad. "Dad, we've got a flood." He looked up from his reading and smiled. "I know, it rained really hard all through the night." "Really?" exclaimed Millie. "I didn't hear a thing." As the children woke up one by one, they all ran outside to look at the surprise flood. It seemed impossible. How could the land be flooded when the sun was shining warmly and the air was mild and still? Dad laughed at the look on their faces. "You sleepyheads slept right through the heavy rain. Not even Mum heard it." The children ran to put on their togs, but Mum called them back. "Sorry guys, but we are going to do school first." Moans and groans rose in noisy complaint. "But Mum, the flood might have gone down by then," pleaded Millie. But Mum stood firm. "You can go swimming and whatever after lunch, not before. The flood will still be there." Millie kept glancing at the clock and looking out the window all morning. The time seemed to drag on and on. But the second the minute hand reached the top of the clock at 12, she put her books away and sprinted up the stairs. The others were right behind her. They all reappeared downstairs a few minutes later, dressed in their togs. "What about lunch?" asked Mum. "Later!" Millie shouted as they raced down to the island. Only a small part of Smoking Bridge was visible above the flood. They all carefully waded through the water that swirled over the top of the log and stood along it while Millie pulled back the swing. Soon they were all taking turns, swinging out over the water, trailing their hands and feet and laughing. It wasn't long before they were swinging out and letting go and dropping with a splash into the flood water that filled the gully. Mum arrived shortly after and said she wanted to turn. Millie watched with a grin as Mum jumped on the swing and flew out across the water. "I feel 7 again," she shouted excitedly. "Wait until you try jumping off again," Millie called back. "It's not so easy. The log's very slippery." She was right. After half a dozen aborted attempts, Mum begged for Millie to help her. "I don't want to get soaked," she said as she swung out again. Millie caught hold of the rope the next time Mum came near the log and pulled her in. Mum jumped off, then slipped and slithered around for a second, clutching onto Millie's arm. Finally, she found her balance. "Fun," she said, brushing her hair out of her eyes. Dad commandeered the swing next, telling Mum he would demonstrate how easy it was to swing back to the log and skillfully jump off. It would have gone well, except Angel decided to trot across the log at the precise moment Dad tried to land. He knocked into her and sent her flying off the log while he struggled desperately to regain his footing. "Dad!" yelled Millie. "You meanie!" Ellie ran to the bank as Angel surfaced in the muddy water and started paddling towards her. But Dad just laughed. "She's a dog," he said. "Dogs love swimming." Samuel carried down a canoe and asked Mum if she wanted to go exploring with him. They both climbed in from the log and then set off around the gully. Sam navigated the canoe carefully under low branches and manoeuvred past huge logs that lay like crocodiles in the Nile. As they came round the bend, Mum laughed and pointed at an old puriri tree which stood in the very middle of the flood, as if it was a giant hitching post for canoes. The water had risen a good metre up its trunk. They paddled up to it and sat beneath it, looking up into the branches. Just then, 3 tuis flew across the island and landed on a branch above them. They began to sing wholeheartedly to Sam and Mum, their white poise and lacy collars of fine white feathers shining in the sun. Their clear, liquid songs, punctuated by clicks and chortles and chuckles, filled the air. Mum and Sam sat as still as 2 stones in the river, listening to the beautiful sound. Just then, 2 large wood pigeons flew past, and with a whirring of wings, the tuis flew off after them. Mum shook her head. "How beautiful was that, Sam? No wonder people call them the nightingales of New Zealand." The whole place was alive with birds. Mallard ducks flew in and made spectacular landings on the flooded meadow, while a pair of paradise ducks squawked noisily at them. "Do you know, Sam, I think all the birds are enjoying the flood just like us," said Mum. They set off paddling further round the island, but stopped when they saw the river. It raged and surged downstream and looked like it would love nothing better than to catch them up and take command of their canoe. "Let's stay in the quiet water around the island, eh, Mum?" suggested Sam. "Good idea, Captain," agreed Mum. When they got back to the barn, Mum made herself a hot drink and dropped into a chair. "I needed that," she told Dad. "I haven't been able to stop thinking of Penny lying up there in the hospital in pain. It felt good to laugh for a while and have fun with the kids and listen to the beautiful birds' song. I'll tell her all about it when I go up this afternoon." That night at dinner, Mum told them that Auntie Penny was having to take a lot of pain relief and that her leg was really swollen. It could be some time before the doctors would even think about operating and fixing the brakes. Just then, one of the children made a rude slurping noise. "Do you know," said Mum crossly, "I think the table manners around here could do with a bit of sharpening up." Milly looked at Mum. She seemed weary and a bit down. Then suddenly Milly remembered what they'd just read in Little House on the Prairie that morning. "I know," she suggested to the other children. "None of us are allowed to talk at the table tonight unless it's to say thank you. Only Mum and Dad can talk." "That sounds like a great idea," said Dad. "Right," Milly said. "On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Immediately, 6 voices all began talking at once in various pitches and tones. "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Mum and Dad stared at their children in shocked surprise at the sudden outburst, and then they both started laughing. They blocked their ears and Dad yelled, "Stop!" above the racket. Finally, the thank yous drained away. "How on earth did you all know to do that?" he asked. "Did you plan it?" Milly grinned. "No, it just happened." "It wouldn't have happened in Little House on the Prairie," said Mum, but her eyes were twinkling. Milly felt better. She didn't like it when Mum was unhappy. It was good to hear her laughing again.